Scorpio, my dear, what if I told you a letter is already on its way to you, one that will shake your spirit, soften your heart, and bring tears to your eyes, not from pain, but from the divine confirmation that God has never left your side? This video was made for that moment. For you. Right now. If you're here, watching this message, you didn't stumble upon it by accident. That's not how energy works, and certainly not how divine timing works. You were pulled here by something greater. Perhaps your soul was already whispering that a turning point was near. And it is. Because what's coming for you, Scorpio, is nothing less than a sacred sign from above, wrapped in a moment so powerful, so intimate, it will leave you trembling with truth. Right now, the spiritual realm is activating something extraordinary in your life. A celestial download is unfolding. The universe, in all its infinite wisdom, is placing something in motion just for you, a message, a truth, a long-awaited confirmation. And when it arrives, it will not only make you cry. It will free you. The letter might not be physical. It might come through someone's words, a document you've been waiting on, an answered prayer, or even a spiritual sign so clear that you can no longer doubt its meaning. But when it does, you'll know. You'll feel it in your bones. You'll hear God say, "I've seen your tears. I've counted them all. And now, I'm responding." Let that settle into your spirit. There are no coincidences, Scorpio. You are here because your spirit is ready to receive what your heart has been aching for: truth, clarity, healing, peace. Something is shifting. You are not alone in this. You never were. And now, the proof is coming. If this resonates with you already, if you feel something stirring within you, like your soul knows this message was crafted specifically for you, I invite you to confirm this energetic alignment by commenting below. I am ready to receive the miracle God is sending me. Your words carry vibration. Your faith activates timelines. And before we continue, allow me to pause and express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment you leave, every time you share this message or subscribe to this space, you are stepping deeper into the spiritual family we are building together here at Miracle of the Sign. Thank you from the deepest well of my heart. Your energy fuels this mission, and your presence gives these sacred transmissions a place to land. And believe me, Scorpio, you will want to stay until the final moment of today's message. Because what the universe is revealing now is not only timely, it's life-altering. You are being called, not just to witness it, but to participate in it. So stay with me. Breathe deeply. This moment is holy. Now, tell me, what led you here today? Was it a dream, a quiet tug in your heart, or just a sense that something was about to change? Whatever it was real. You answered a divine invitation. And now, let's see what the heavens are about to deliver. Scorpio, as we begin to walk more deeply into this sacred space together, I want to gently guide you into the shadows, not to fear them, but to finally illuminate them with compassion. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just a forecast. It's a mirror. A mirror to a part of yourself that's been waiting patiently in silence, hoping you'd finally stop and look inward with love. The moon appeared in your reading not as a warning, but as an invitation. This card, veiled in mystery, doesn't scream for attention. It whispers. It speaks the language of the soul, of all that has been left unsaid, unfelt, or unresolved. The moon is the domain of intuition, secrets, and emotional undercurrents. It is the sacred territory of the things you bury not because they're unimportant, but because they mattered too much and hurt too deeply. Astrologically, this card's appearance is beautifully aligned with Mercury just having completed its retrograde through your 12th house, the house of endings, forgiveness, solitude, and healing. The 12th house asks us to cleanse spiritually and emotionally before a new cycle begins. It is the final room in the house of the soul where you sit alone, face to face with everything that hasn't yet been voiced. And when the moon meets Mercury's retreat in this space, it's not just about reflection. It's about release. It's about tears that never fell, finally having permission to do so. Maybe there's a loss you never fully processed, someone you loved but had to let go. Maybe it's the heartbreak of an unspoken goodbye, a version of your life that never got to blossom, or a dream you tucked away and told yourself to forget. You've carried it quietly, trying to stay strong. But what if true strength was never about holding it all in? What if the divine moment you've been waiting for is not about achieving something but about finally allowing yourself to feel something? In the world of energy and emotional healing, unexpressed pain doesn't vanish. It waits. It lodges itself in the heart, in the body, in the mind. We think we're doing ourselves a favor by moving on quickly, staying busy, staying composed. But when we do that too often, the uncried tears begin to harden into emotional walls. And those walls might be what are keeping you from receiving the blessings that are already circling your life, waiting for a space to land. Psychologically, when we suppress grief or sadness, we suppress the full range of human experience. Healing begins the moment you give yourself full permission to break, without needing to justify why. And spiritually, whether or not you realize it yet, every tear you've ever held back is known to a loving Creator who doesn't measure your worth by your strength, but by your truth. This is why writing can be such a powerful key right now. Scorpio is a deeply introspective sign. You feel everything, but you don't always speak it aloud. So I gently encourage you to try something. Take out a journal. Light a candle if you want. And write a letter to the part of you that's been silent. Say what you never got to say to the person you lost. To the dream that ended. To the version of yourself that didn't get to grow the way you hoped. Call it out. Because naming what hurts is how we start to set it free. There is no shame in being overwhelmed. There is only grace in being honest. And when the moon appears, it is not to drown you in emotion, but to remind you that feeling deeply is part of your sacred design. You are not too much. Your tears are not weakness. They are sacred waters rising now, not to destroy you, but to baptize you into a softer, wiser, freer version of who you were always meant to become. And maybe this is the very miracle you've been unknowingly praying for. Scorpio, what you're feeling right now may be difficult to name. Maybe it's a strange sense of knowing that something is shifting. Maybe it's the weight of a silent ache you've carried alone. Or maybe it's the unmistakable whisper that even in the stillness you're not walking through this by yourself. That's the energy we're stepping into now. Because what's happening behind the veil is not chaos. It's divine orchestration. So often, we think we're the ones pushing through the storm, making things happen by force, surviving on our own will. But just because we can't see support doesn't mean it isn't there. In fact, some of the most powerful moments in our lives are guided not by what we control but by what holds us when we can't hold ourselves. You may have thought you were walking alone. But in reality, something greater has been carrying you. This is where the number 444 becomes more than just a coincidence. It's a frequency, a pattern, a divine breadcrumb left in your path. In numerology and spiritual symbolism, 444 is a powerful sign of protection, divine intervention, and stability being restored. It often appears when you are on the edge of breakthrough but still navigating the unknown. It says, keep going. You're not abandoned. Heaven is closer than you think. You may see 444 on a clock, a receipt, a license plate, a phone number, seemingly random places. But they're not random at all. These moments are soft nudges from the universe reminding you that you are surrounded. That angels, or what some may call spiritual guides, higher energy, or divine alignment, are present, actively working in your favor. Especially when your human eyes cannot yet see the evidence. When people share stories of surviving grief, escaping despair, overcoming loss, there's often a common thread: not just effort, but presence. A feeling they can't quite explain. A knowing that something beyond them intervened. And I believe the same is happening for you, right now. Not because you earned it through perfection, but because you never stopped reaching, even when your arms were tired. Because even in your quietest prayers, you didn't give up hope. This is the part of your journey where you are being asked not to fight harder but to trust deeper. To trust that while you rest, something sacred is still being constructed for your good. That even when you can't see the outcome, alignment is being assembled in silence. That's what 444 whispers: you are not alone. You are not forgotten. What is meant for you is already moving toward you. And maybe this message is arriving in your life as confirmation. Not to promise instant resolution, but to remind you that divine timing is always precise, even if it's not always predictable. Faith is less about demanding signs, and more about recognizing them when they quietly appear. If something inside of you resonates with this, let it move through you. Let it soften you. And if you feel ready, write this in the comments as a way of affirming your alignment: I believe the universe is working for me, even in silence. Because sometimes the most powerful form of action is surrender. Surrender not as giving up, but as rising up in trust. Trust that you're not carrying your healing alone. Trust that support is walking beside you in ways you cannot yet measure. And trust that this very moment is already part of the miracle unfolding. Scorpio, if the last chapter of your journey has felt like waiting in the dark, this is the moment where the door begins to creak open. The Page of Pentacles has entered your spread, a symbol of quiet beginnings, grounded messages, and tangible change. It's not a loud card. It doesn't come in with fanfare or fireworks. It arrives humbly, almost like a sealed envelope sitting patiently on your doorstep, carrying inside it the confirmation you've been longing for. This is a moment to recognize that what's been held back from you is no longer lost, it's simply been in divine preparation. The Page of Pentacles appears when the universe is ready to send something concrete. Not just a feeling, not just a sign, but a real-world answer. This card is the messenger of approvals, contracts, official paperwork, results you can hold in your hand. Whether it's long-awaited news about a pension, a decision on social support, legal closure on an inheritance, or even a final signature on something you've fought hard for, this page holds promise. But more than that, it holds validation. Astrologically, The arrival of news during this season aligns beautifully with the recent transitions through your solar second house, the house of value, resources, and personal worth. This is not just about what you're receiving. It's about what you're reclaiming. You're not being handed something randomly. You're being returned to what has always been yours, even if the world told you otherwise. This is the justice that shows up quietly but lands like thunder in your soul. Numerology adds another layer of insight. The number 14, linked to the card Temperance in the major arcana, echoes the rhythm of divine balance. Temperance is about alchemy, turning waiting into wisdom, longing into alignment. 14 reminds us that timing isn't punishment, it's preparation. That what's been maturing in silence is now ripe. And that when it finally arrives, it does so not a minute too late. In fact, it comes exactly when you are spiritually ready to receive it, not only as a blessing but as a responsibility. The law of attraction teaches that gratitude is one of the fastest energetic accelerators for manifestation. When you're on the verge of receiving something, fear often tries to creep in, fear that it won't come, that it's too late, that you'll be let down again. But fear clogs the channel. Gratitude clears it. So now is the time to shift your focus not on what might go wrong, but on what is already being made right. I encourage you to try a simple, powerful exercise. Write yourself a letter not from a place of waiting, but from a place of receiving. Imagine the news has already arrived. Let your words flow from the version of you who is no longer waiting in anxiety, but breathing deeply in trust. Describe how it feels. What changed? What do you want to say to the version of you who held on through it all? This is how you co-create with the universe. Not by begging, not by proving yourself worthy, but by preparing your heart to hold the very thing you've been praying for. Let go of urgency. Embrace expectancy. Because if this card has shown up for you now, it means the message is en route. Something official is being released. A decision is shifting in your favor. A new foundation is being offered. What happens next isn't about chance. It's about readiness. And from where I sit, Scorpio, you are more ready than you know. Stay open, stay grateful, and prepare to open the envelope life has had sealed just for you. Scorpio, as we transition into this part of your journey, the energy begins to shift gently but unmistakably. The presence of the Six of Wands and the Sun in your reading tells a story not only of triumph, but of restoration. It speaks to something within you or someone close to you that has endured a season of physical or emotional strain, and no finally light is breaking through the cracks. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it arrives like sunlight at dawn, slowly warming the parts of you that went cold in the waiting. The Six of Wands is the card of victory after struggle. It doesn't ignore the battles, it honors them. And it shows that your endurance was not in vain. Perhaps you or someone you love has faced a health concern that cast a long shadow, maybe a surgery that was hard to prepare for, or a chronic illness that kept hope at bay. But now, the energy is shifting. Where there once was fear, there is strength. Where there was fatigue, there is new vitality rising. The Sun confirms this even further. This is arguably the most positive card in the tarot deck. It represents life force, clarity, joy, and physical wellness. It's the moment after the storm when you walk outside and feel the warmth on your skin, not metaphorically but as a real invitation to step into wholeness again. This may show up as a successful medical procedure, a surprising report from a doctor, or simply a turn in your health journey that gives you hope again. And that hope is more powerful than you realize. Astrologically, this phase is supported by the solar energy currently moving through your 6th house, the domain of daily health, habits, and how we care for the vessel that carries us. You're being asked now to become an active participant in your healing, not just a passive recipient of good news. Healing is not only about what medicine or time can do, it's also about the sacred rituals we practice to honor our bodies and regulate our nervous systems. This is where gentle action meets divine timing. Begin with breath. A simple 5-minute practice of conscious breathing each morning can rewire stress responses and bring your body into calm alignment. Next, turn to food not as fuel, but as medicine. Introduce golden ingredients like turmeric, warm herbal teas, and foods rich in omega-3s to soothe inflammation and restore balance. These aren't trends, they are anchors of healing that support your cells, your mood, and your resilience. And then, there's movement. A 15-minute walk at the end of your day can shift energy, release tension, and remind you that you're alive and that life still has more for you. What's important to remember now is that healing doesn't always look like a grand finale. Sometimes it's a quiet yes in your spirit. A new wave of energy. A night where you finally sleep through without waking. A call from the doctor that changes everything. And sometimes, it's the whisper inside that says, "I'm not as afraid anymore." You may not have seen instant results the moment you prayed, the moment you believed, or the moment you began the treatment. But healing, like any divine process, often works behind the scenes before it shows up at your doorstep. Your faith, your choices, your stillness, and your care have not gone unnoticed, not by your body, not by the cosmos, and certainly not by the future version of you who is already living the results. This moment is your reminder that progress is happening even when the evidence is quiet. So stay soft. Stay hopeful. And celebrate the smallest wins as signs of the greater healing still unfolding. The light is real. And it's rising inside you. Scorpio, by the time we arrive at this part of your journey, something within you has likely already begun to shift. A softness, a readiness, a stirring sense that the identity you once clung to is now loosening, making space for something more authentic. When the world and the 6 of Pentacles show up alongside documents, legal matters, or matters of identity, it's not just paperwork being highlighted, it's a sacred reckoning with who you truly are. This is the part of your evolution where the outer form begins to match the inner truth. In the language of energy, identity is not fixed. It evolves. It reforms as we outgrow who we thought we were supposed to be. Whether it's a name change after a divorce, reclaiming legal ownership of something once lost, correcting a birth certificate, or finally applying for that long-postponed visa or passport, each piece of paper you touch now carries more than ink and numbers. It carries your rebirth. It says, "I no longer carry the labels others gave me. I choose who I am." The law of attraction teaches us that we do not receive what we want, we receive what we are aligned with. And alignment begins the moment we see ourselves as worthy. Worthy of the home. Worthy of the travel. Worthy of the freedom, the independence, the recognition, the closure. That's why the universe does not respond to begging, it responds to embodiment. When you step fully into the vibration of wholeness, the opportunities that once avoided you suddenly show up, not because they changed, but because you did. So look closely now at anything you've set aside. A document you've delayed. A goal you've shelved. A process that felt too daunting to begin again. This is your permission to return. To pick it back up. To finish what was started or to start what was feared. Scorpio energy is not about surface-level transformation, it's about complete metamorphosis. And that includes the parts of your life that live in systems and structures, courts, embassies, banks, contracts. All the places where your identity, your rights, and your legacy live and form. And don't be surprised if help comes from unexpected places. The Six of Pentacles reminds us that giving and receiving flow in cycles. Perhaps someone you once helped, whether in big or small ways, now shows up with an offer of support. Not out of obligation, but from gratitude. There is no expiration on kindness. The seeds you sowed in generosity may now return as your harvest. But all of this depends on whether you're willing to see yourself as someone who deserves completion. Deserves clarity. Deserves forward movement. The World card is not just an ending, it is the beginning of being seen as whole. This means clearing the clutter of outdated versions of yourself, and declaring with certainty, this is who I am now. This is where I'm going. If it helps, take a moment and write down 3 things you once gave up on it out of failure, but out of fatigue. Bring them to the light. Let them be named again. Because naming is claiming. And claiming is the first step in receiving. In the weeks ahead, stay attentive. Emails, letters, phone calls, anything official could carry the momentum you've been waiting for. But don't wait passively. Align actively. Visualize the doors opening. Feel the relief in your body before it arrives. Speak as though the approval has already been stamped. This is how you collapse time and create space for miracles. And above all, remember, the universe does not withhold from those who are ready. It simply waits until you believe you're worthy of what's already yours. Scorpio, you don't have to know the exact moment it will arrive. You only need to know it is coming. And when it does, it won't just be a message. It will be a confirmation that your faith was never in vain. The tears you've held back will finally fall, not because you're broken, but because something sacred is being restored. You've walked through fire, and now you're approaching the rain, the kind that cleanses, not drowns. The kind that wakes your soul with tenderness. Everything you've explored in this message, your hidden pain, the divine timing of 444, the official breakthrough on the horizon, the return of health, the reclamation of your identity, it's all been preparing you for this turning point. The question now is, are you open enough to let it in? Can you soften enough to receive, even after being hardened by disappointment? Can you shift from surviving to allowing? So I ask you now, not with pressure, but with compassion, what part of this message reached deepest into your heart today? What are you still afraid to believe is possible for you? And if you could trust that one miracle was already being written in your name, what would it look like? Let that be your comment today. I invite you, not just to engage, but to declare your alignment. Right below, I believe the miracle is on its way to me, or God is preparing something beautiful for my life. Your words matter more than you know. They carry vibration. They open portals. And they become a ripple of healing for others who read them and whisper to themselves, me too. And while you're here, let me pause and say thank you truly. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for the light you bring just by being present. Every comment, every like, every time you share this video or subscribe to Miracle of the Sign, you're not just supporting a channel, you're nurturing a global field of faith, healing, and divine timing. You're becoming part of something that says, we are not alone. We are connected. And we are being guided. So as you close this chapter, don't rush away. Sit with what you've received. Revisit the parts that stirred something in you. Recommit to your healing, not because you're broken, but because you are evolving. Practice what you've heard. Breathe deeper. Write the letter. Submit the document. Drink the warm tea. Walk in the sunset. Whisper your prayer at dawn. You don't need proof to believe. You only need presence. And today, your presence was the proof. You showed up. You listened. You received. And that means you're already shifting your vibration. You're already moving toward what's yours. Let that be enough for now. And when the moment arrives, and it will, you'll know. You'll cry. But they won't be tears of sorrow. They'll be tears of remembrance. Tears of release. Tears that say, I made it. And I'll be here rooting for you, praying with you, walking beside you through every step of it. Until next time, stay open. Stay soft. Stay ready. Your miracle is already in motion.